So if you've been trying to repair your relationship, you've likely come across a whole world of advice. You may have realized that the best advice is often based around self-growth. However, it's never always clear exactly what self-growth means. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what growth means and how much each category impacts your chances of reconciliation. So I get the worry and the struggle of finding healthy relationship advice online, especially when you're trying to repair a relationship. You want to do it the right way. You want to repair the relationship back in a way that's healthy, not just through some scripts and tactics. And while it's true that repairing a relationship means radical self-growth, self-growth can be vague. And oftentimes people can focus on the wrong thing. So I want to break down exactly what impacts reconciliation, what type of growth matters the most, so you can focus on exactly how much to grow yourself to lead your relationship through this repair process moving forward. I really wanted to be specific with this video. There's a lot of ex-back advice out there, or relationship repair advice, marriage repair, marriage help, all that sort of stuff that can give some really good advice, but that advice is a tiny percentage of what actually impacts relationship repair. And I see it in my comments as well. People saying, yeah, but what about this? And it's difficult because yes, on one hand, there's a point there, but it's such a minute part of reconciliation that it almost becomes pointless to focus on it. So I want to break down exactly what impacts reconciliation and by how much, to make it a lot easier when you're building your self-growth, where you can focus on what's going to have the biggest impact. So I put it all into a pie chart for everyone. Here are the categories. There are surface level changes. That is around 10% of reconciliation. Then there is lifestyle and social growth changes. That is around 15% of reconciliation. There is behavioral and relational skills. That is around 25% of reconciliation. Then there's the biggest chunk, which is emotional and psychological growth, which is around 40% of reconciliation. Then there are deliberate reconciliation behaviors, which is around 10% of reconciliation itself. So I'm going to break down exactly what all of these mean and why they have the percentage that they do on the chance of reconciliation. So the first thing that I want to point out is not one person on this planet can guarantee reconciliation. You know, when I chat with people who are potentially wanting to become members, one of the most common questions that I get is, what is your reconciliation rate? I'm totally aware that some people out there put out this reconciliation rate of 75% or 80% or whatever it is. The truth is that there is no 100% guarantee of an ex coming back to you. But the way that I see it is that's a really good thing, because it means that you actually have to put in work in order to build a relationship that lasts. If you want reconciliation, there's a million ways to do it very easily, but that doesn't mean that it's actually going to be building a healthy relationship. And ultimately, if you want to reconcile with your partner, you want to reconcile in a way that is healthy and also be able to have the skills to build a healthy relationship that works for you both. There's going to be a lot of people that will take a lot of your money with an implied guarantee on reconciliation. And I want to put that out there because I want people to be aware of the real deep work that's involved with reconciliation. When you put in the deep work and the effective work that grows you as a person, that is the only way of maximizing your chance of reconciliation. Once you start to focus on that, it becomes a much longer term process, but a much healthier one. Because at the end of the day, if you want to live the rest of your life with this other person, then you want to be building a healthy relationship rather than just something that is reconciliation, but temporary. That's my disclaimer moving forward. So let's jump on to what actually impacts reconciliation. The very first thing here is the surface level changes. So much relationship advice out there will give you a lot of surface level changes. This is dressing nicely. This is grooming. This is working on your fitness. These kind of appearance things. It's not that appearance doesn't matter at all. It does, but this is such a small slice of reconciliation. But if there's a lot of stuff out there that is focused on, hey, here's how to get a revenge body or something like that. It sounds nice. It sounds like a great idea, but at the end of the day, no one's going to reconcile with you because you got buffer, because you got hotter, because you start brushing your hair. That is not what reconciliation is based on. It's not completely nothing, but it's around 10%. This is also about environmental changes as well. This is tidying yourself up in general, tidying up your living space and cleaning your car more often or things like that. Looking after anything that's surface level is around 10%. It's not nothing, but if you completely removed this slice from your growth, it wouldn't have much impact at all. The next thing is lifestyle and social growth. This I put at around 15%. Again, it's not that your lifestyle and your social growth doesn't have any impact on reconciliation, but it's still a very minimal impact. For example, your career, your financial stability. A lot of people get in their head about, especially guys, unfortunately, a lot of guys get in their heads that women only want money. I'm actually going to do a deeper dive video on this myth in the future, so let me know in the comments if you want me to dive more into it. But guys get it in their heads that women are just about money, and they come up with all of these really low quality studies to justify this feeling that they have of women being all about money. It's not that your career and your financial stability is not important in life. It should be important to you as a person, making sure that you are becoming financially stable, that you are investing in your career and your self-development. That impacts what we call intellectual intimacy, which if you've done my bootcamp, you'll know a little bit more about what that entails. But that growth does provide some safety towards reconciling with your partner, but it's not everything. Things like having hobbies, passions, living a fulfilling life that doesn't revolve around your partner, it is important. It does have an impact. Having stuff outside of your relationship and working always towards that is going to make you less needy. It's going to make you less constantly focused on reconciling with your partner, being financially stable, having a good social group, healthy friendships, and a strong support system around you. It makes you less needy, less dependent on your partner. But again, this only has around a 15% impact on reconciliation. And then I've also put on here physical health. This is more about like diet and exercise for health, sleeping. And again, this isn't nothing. But unfortunately, a lot of people, especially after a divorce or things like that, they focus 100% of their growth onto this and less onto everything else. And then they wonder why reconciliation isn't happening. It's because they're focusing 100% of their energy on the 15% that impacts reconciliation. So that's why I've sort of organized it in this way. The next thing that impacts reconciliation at around 25%, this is a bigger chunk of things, is a lot of what I talk about on the channel. This is communication skills. This is learning non-defensive listening, assertive expression, being able to assert your opinions without being demanding or controlling, conflict resolution. All of these communication skills are important and have an impact on reconciliation. But these behavioral skills also involve consistency. This is not about being able to, for example, validate well. This is about being able to validate well and increase your ability to do this and be consistent with this over time. Sometimes when I talk about having conversation with an ex-partner, I talk about being able to validate their feelings on why they feel like they don't want to be in the relationship with you right now. Being able to validate on that is fine, but being able to consistently do that and understand all of the many different feelings that are involved, this is why consistency in all of these skills is going to be really important. When you're trying to reconcile with your ex-partner, just saying, I had a good conversation once, doesn't matter. It's about being consistent and being able to show up day in, day out in those moments. This is showing that you have changed and you are changing over time, not just talking about it. This is part of the behavioral skills that we're talking about. But then the biggest one of all, 40% of reconciliation. And again, this is a massive chunk of what I talk about on the channel, which hopefully you'll be able to start seeing how all of these slots in terms of what I put out on the channel, especially, is the emotional and psychological growth. None of us in this world want to admit that we can do better with our emotions and with the way that we see the world and the way that we understand people. No matter where you are, we can always do better. A lot of us fall for it, thinking that our level of knowledge is the top level of knowledge and understanding that anyone could possibly have, and we don't need to improve. And then we start to excuse the lack of these skills by blaming other people, especially when it comes to a breakup. One of the things that I see in my comments is this blaming of your partner when it comes to reconciling. Once you start to develop this emotional and psychological growth, the more that you see how much impact you have on the relationship dynamic and being able to grow the relationship in a healthy direction. This is why 40% of reconciliation is based on emotional and psychological growth. This is building things such as self-awareness, understanding why the relationship ended, identifying your pattern, your role in the relationship and the way you fail to break the patterns that can develop, your own triggers, this is all self-awareness. But it's not just self-awareness, it's also emotional regulation. This is something that I talk about a lot on the channel. Regulating your emotions is not just not shouting. It's not just not showing anger. Some people think that emotional regulation is simply a matter of feeling rage and anger, but just not showing it on their face. That is often worse. That often feels worse, especially when it comes to reconciliation. If you're deeply angry with your ex-partner and you're seeing regulation as just not saying it out loud, it has a bigger impact because your partner can see that you're not emotionally regulated and they're just waiting for that moment for you to explode. Emotional regulation is developing tools over a long period of time to lessen your anger, lessen your jealousy, lessen your anxiety over time. This is what true emotional regulation is. But it's also about building your self-esteem, building your value in yourself outside of the relationship that has an impact on the relationship. But one of the biggest skills of all is building empathy. Now, everyone feels like they have empathy. It's one of those things that people just think that they have and then don't ever think about it again. But then when it comes to their ex-partner, they don't understand why they broke up with them. They don't understand why they don't want to invest in the relationship. And that is a skill issue, unfortunately. It's saying, I know how to cook a steak. And then when someone puts it in front of you and says, hey, cook that, and you burn the shit out of it, that's the exact opposite. Being able to develop the empathy and understanding towards your partner without judgment is a skill issue. This is why I put this at 40%. It has a massive impact on reconciliation. These are the deep level changes that we talk about a lot on this channel. And this is why when people try to reach out to their ex-partner, they focused on all of the other smaller things. And then when they have conversations about it, they're jealous, they're angry, they have a lot of anxiety, they're needy, and they wonder why their ex-partner doesn't want to return to them. This may sound harsh, but this is a good thing. Identifying when you have a skill issue is a really good thing because it means that you can do something about it. When you're trying to figure out why your ex-partner isn't returning to you right now, you can look at this chart and say, where have I been focusing and what work have I been doing and where should I shift my focus in order to grow myself to the right level and the right standard, in order to lead the relationship in the right direction. But then there's the last 10%, and this is deliberate reconciliation behaviors. Now, I speak with a lot of people who have tried this no contact rule, scripts, these tactics. And when it comes to reconciling a relationship, knowing how to approach your partner or your ex-partner and starting certain conversations is a skill within itself. So many people focus on this 10%. They say, I tried no contact and it didn't work. I tried low contact and it didn't work. I tried full contact and it didn't work. I tried this conversation with them and it didn't work. The fact is that whichever behavior you choose to reconcile, it's only 10% of the actual reconciliation itself. So these deliberate reconciliation behaviors are really important to understand. A lot of people go, well, you need to bombard them and be in their space all the time, or no, you should cut off contact at all. The truth is that reconciliation behavior, to actually build a path forward towards reconciliation, does not involve either of these extremes. Reconciliation behavior should be low contact. This is not chasing. This is not bombarding. This is giving space, being able to navigate the logistical conversations very easily, but also building up the skills to be able to handle the emotional conversations longer term, because those are the conversations that are going to have an impact on repairing the relationship. This is why when it comes to repairing a relationship, some people think that 3 weeks or 4 weeks is going to repair this relationship long term. But there is no situation where a healthy relationship is going to be repaired in 3 or 4 weeks. When you're focusing on the long term, being able to develop the right behaviors to give space, but also increase the quality of communication is going to be really important. So yes, these deliberate reconciliation behaviors only account for 10%, because the other 90% is going to have an impact as to how you perform these reconciliation behaviors. These behaviors are calm re-engagement, being able to time your approach when you've had the time to reflect on yourself and your partner is also in the process of reflecting, being able to apologize and take accountability, knowing when is the right time to engage with that and when is not the right time to approach that conversation, but also patience, being able to develop the patience to understand that the reconciliation process does not take 30 days. It doesn't take 45 days. If you think about it this way, if you're trying to repair a relationship of 5 years, There's literally no plane of existence where 3 weeks is going to turn everything around. When there's been multiple years of ineffective tools, it takes a very high standard and a decent chunk of time to be able to start to undo some of that damage that has happened. This is why I work with members long-term. I don't work with people who are looking for a quick fix. I work with people who are invested long-term into rebuilding their relationship for the long term. There's no quick and easy fix to this, but that doesn't mean that there isn't an effective path forward to develop not only your relationship skills, but also the skills to be able to repair and lead your relationship moving forward long term. And this is the problem, is that so many people focus on this 10%. That is such a small slice of what actually impacts reconciliation. If you are one of those people that wants to repair and reconcile your relationship, but do it in a healthy way, in a long-term and sustainable way, then feel free to join my relationship bootcamp, where you'll learn the same fundamental steps that all of my members start with to start turning their relationship around and repairing it long-term. All you have to do is click on the link in the description if you want to grab your spot. So yes, no one can guarantee reconciliation. However, maximizing your chance of reconciliation requires focus on the right things, the right categories of growth in order to maximize that. And because of that, this makes it a lot easier to reconcile, because it means that you're not convincing yourself that reconciliation can be done in a couple of weeks and that's it. It means that you're able to focus on the long term and developing important skills that not only impact your reconciliation, but also relationships with family, friends, colleagues. Understanding how human beings tick and how to build that trust and reputation back long term is a crucial life skill. And when I talk about these deliberate reconciliation behaviors, I speak about what I call the low contact rule. Simply for the fact that the no contact rule that you may have seen out there is ineffective and quite unhealthy, and full contact with an ex-partner is unhealthy and unhelpful. I've done a deeper dive video on the low contact rule, which I'll link to up above and in the description down below. But the low contact rule is about being able to navigate reconciliation from a place of balance, being able to balance humility and strength, being able to balance emotion and logic, being able to balance and understand the progression of rebuilding trust long term. So I won't dive into it here, but if you want more, then I'll leave you with that deep dive video into the low contact rule, and I will see you over there.